Napa in Pine City. That is a big building that you guys are just allowing a single permit. Neighbors wouldn't know. It's not in industrial, commercially zoned areas. You know, this just isn't right. This isn't acceptable. It isn't what the new 4.0 of the OCM has even put out. Again, they state the same as they did a year ago, industrial and commercially zoned areas. I will keep coming. I'll keep asking you to look at this. And at some point, you guys will see we weren't incorrect with this. You don't just put three-phase in an in a residential area and go, oh, we're now going to zone this industrial. That's not fair. That's not what I bought for my taxes. It's not the area I purchased, but that's what's happening to us. Thanks.
Thank you.
Patrice DeGray, Royalton. Believe you've all received emails from me, probably more than one. Some of you only one. And also our township, the only one here probably is the sheriff that hasn't received what I've sent out. And I haven't received one response. So, you know, she kind of covered some of it. Whose rules are we following? It's only theory till you do it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Chair, members of the board, Ryan has informed me that we are now live streaming and up and running.
Okay.
Great.
Anybody else, public comment? Now that you're up online, do you have anybody? No. Okay. All right. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dave Minke, County Administrator, there are two additions to the consent agenda. If we could add consent agenda item number 2.1, Crime Victim Services Office of Justice Programs Grant for 2026. This is accepting a grant for $70,000 with no match required. And then if we could add or consent agenda item 1A2, an application for a temporary off-sale liquor license for the Rock Creek Lions for the rodeo held at Heidelbergers, August 29th through September 1st.
What we will move? Oh, second.
All right, we got a motion and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing. All right, approve the minutes of the July 15, 2025 regular county board meeting and summary for publication.
I'll move that.
Okay. Got a second?
Second.
Second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing. Acknowledge the minutes of the boards, committees, and correspondence. The unapproved minutes of the Pine County Housing and Redevelopment Economic Development Authority meeting, July 23rd, 2025. The Pine County Surveyors Report, July 2025. The City of Sandstone 2024 TIF disclosure, July 23rd, 2025.
So moved.
All right, we got a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any discussion? Steve second.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing. All right, consent agenda.
I'll move consent.
All right. got a
I'll second.
Motion in a second. Any discussion on consent agenda? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing. Okay, regular agenda, Land Advisory Committee. So we did meet on July 7th and made the following recommendations. I'm gonna take these kind of maybe one at a time here. Recommend the adoption of the Pine County Park Trail and Recreation Grant Policy. We had been we had had a few, people coming looking for, and Matt, you can just fill in here when you want, but, we had had some people just kind of coming to the land.
Requesting funding. for
Yeah,
projects, yeah.
And we didn't really have a policy for it. So we tasked, actually, I think David, to come up with a policy. So he did, the policies in the minutes there, looked it over and, we approved it, or that's what we're doing right now. So that is a action item, right?
That's correct, Mr. Chair. And in the policy, there are some boxes with some notes. The text in the boxes was just to try to explain some of the rationale or the options that the board had. And so if there are questions, I can certainly address them. Or you can, amend the policy or adopt the policy as drafted.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
We kind of went to a $15,000 threshold with a match. That's what we were discussing, so.
Yeah. So I'll move that.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, discussion, if I
Yeah.
can, Mr. Chair. Does that include, we have to make a decision on the Windermere Township proposed contribution?
That's the B. We're just on A.
Okay, gotcha.
This is just a policy.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, same thing. All right, on the Windermere Township thing, it was recommended to the board to contribute up to 15,000 from the Parks and Recreation Fund to reimburse towards a fishing pier, trees and shrubs and signage, benches, and garbage cans to the new Sturgeon Lake Island Coverage Bridge. Now, on this, a couple Windermere Township board members came to our meeting. They had asked for $32,000. We had a kind of a lengthy discussion, and there were some accusations thrown out that the county kind of did them wrong on this bridge, and they had to come up with over $20,000 of their own money that they were shortchanged by the contractor to do some work themselves of landscaping and finishing up some blacktopping and some other stuff. And it was brought out by Greg that the DNR had some funding out there to do fishing piers and stuff like that. And I think it was Vern himself was like, yeah, he contacted them, but that takes a year and he didn't want to wait a year. And they're real adamant about us giving them the full $32,000. And we had kind of went back and forth. And so we tried doing something with the 15. Well, then, so that's what we had decided on. After the meeting, I had made a few phone calls to the highway department. Talked to Aaron and he filled me in on some stuff, and it was brought to my attention that the reason that there was some overruns on the bridge was that it was the township had decided that they wanted personal driveways blacktopped. They wanted landscaping done on personal property that was not included in the bid. It was all because of stuff that they wanted done extra. So I felt completely misled. And I wasn't real impressed with what had happened with that. So with this, I'm gonna withdraw my recommendation on this. And if they wanna pursue the DNR thing, they can come back to the land committee and we can have this discussion again. So with that, I'm not gonna make that motion. So. We can move on to C.
Well, Mr. Chair, would you like to speak on behalf of Windermere Township? We have Windermere Township here today.
Yeah, we'll just move on to C.
Would you like to speak on behalf of these
This
accusations?
is not your form, so. We're gonna move on to C, the Trail Master Plan. They had their chance to speak. They misled, like I said,
They're on the agenda though. That's where I'm getting confused here.
so.
They're right on the agenda.
But we gotta keep the door open for them to come back.
They can come back to the land committee and talk to us.
Okay.
So,
Well, I would still make the motion to have a
JJ,
donation made. If somebody would second it, then we can discuss.
so the Trail Master Plan in Pine County conjunction with Kanabec County.
What do you think?
Matt, you wanna take it?
Yeah, I'll take over from there.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
point of order, I'm a little confused. If there's not a motion made, then I can understand why we're moving on. But if somebody wants to make a motion, can they do so regarding point B?
It's been withdrawn, just like it's what I look at it. Yeah.
what's that?
It's, you withdrew it, is that correct? Yeah.
One question.
Can you hear him at all? I can't hear him down there.
That's
Really supposed to.
Getting some advice from
Yeah.
our parliamentarian.
Oh, I got you.
Good answers, no. Or we still.
Does he have to have a motion?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mr. Chair, considering this agenda, I think because it was adopted at the beginning of the meeting by the board to withdraw something, I think you would have to make a motion to have it withdrawn.
Okay,
And then proceed. from
Okay.
there.
so I'll make a motion to have it withdrawn.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah. I'll discuss it.
Okay.
Now, their ask was, again, what was your ask again? I forget, it was $32,000? $30,000. And on this project, originally there was 2 fishing platforms on this bridge, correct?
That's what it was before, then, when they did the planning.
So if you want to come up to the podium, state your name and where you're from.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Tony Bakhtiari. I'm the vice chair for Windermere Township. And initially we asked for $32,000 to just have a pier. And this is mainly for safety too, because as we know, the lakes are not owned by anybody. And so, in that Sturgeon Lake, we don't have any place for public fishing as far as the kids coming. And 2 things I want to mention, Mr. Chairman. One of them was that, yes, there was on part of, the black topping, some of the places, like a household and so forth, in order to keep their prices, because they already were there. So everybody paid that separate. So it wasn't paid by Pine County or the state or anybody else. That was paid by individual. And this way, as you know, that project was a big project, and Mr. LeBron and other engineers, they went through it. And yes, we were having problem because the curbing and stuff like that they did, we had to redo it because they just came in and plumbed something. And so we had to tear it down, and we incurred all those charges. So that wasn't part of, and those are the ones that, we wanted actually, that county to go after the contractor, which Mr. Gunderson, I believe, that he mentioned that, we'll never hire that same contractor again, because, it just really made it, they came in and they wanted to do everything and they wanted to take off. And so that's where we're at. So as far as the blacktopping, it did not cost anybody except for the homeowners.
This is where it got sticky because
Okay.
when I talked to them, that was not what I heard.
Yeah,
This-
I guarantee you, because
Well,
yeah, I'm
I-
just saying that, you can go door to door and ask or we can bring the contractor over here and show you the checks
It
that
was.
it was kept.
I felt completely misled and I'm gonna believe my staff and I'm gonna believe the contract because if it was a breach of contract, they obviously, that's not what they can do. So, that there was all kinds of extra added stuff that was asked by the contractor. There was changes daily that were being made that other people were asking them to do. And it was a complete nightmare for the contractors, what I heard. Or that I was told that specifically was happening, that people that were overseeing the project at the state level, specifically that this guy at the state said that this was the lowest priority on his list that oversees multi-million-dollar bridges, that said this bridge is like the lowest level on his priority, that this thing needs to go away because he's getting calls from your supervisors at your township about how much of a problem this is. He does not care. Because about orientations of the washers on the bridge, that the contractor orientated them wrong because you guys didn't appreciate or like the way they're orientated. Everything is set in a contract. These contractors know what they're doing. That is not what I was told. I was told exactly what you were told or what you just told us. And these guys know how to run their projects. That's what they do for a living. If they did not do it, they would not be in business. So that's where I felt I was completely misled. And like I said, you guys were, that's why I just didn't appreciate it. So, I wish if I had known different, maybe if you guys want to come back to the Land Advisory Committee. I didn't appreciate the fact that Vern didn't want to wait a year to try to get some funding from the DNR. Why wouldn't you? I just want to ask JJ if you can get, if these guys can get money from the DNR, why wouldn't you? I mean, do you just want to throw county money out there or should we explore DNR money? I don't
If I could,
understand.
Mr. Chair, ask Dave Menke, what's the balance of the trail and park fund right now?
Yeah, Kelly, Auditor Treasurer Kelly Schroeder will have that number.
And then with that, of all the money that's been taken from landowners through forfeiture, again, Kelly, was there
What does
one
that have to do
alone?
with the
And
question?
because that's where the money goes to the fund, is that correct? It's funded by forfeitures? It is, Kelly? She says yes. That's why I asked.
What does that have to do with the question?
So then one of the forfeitures where Pine County has taken land was in Windermere, and that amount alone was how much, Kelly, again? 235,000 alone? Oh, it is,
And
yeah.
Mr. Chair, the forfeiture formula,
That's where the
Awards.
funding comes from.
correct. And the
Correct, yeah.
forfeiture formula awards funding to the township, to the school district and to the county. And the county's grant program gets receipts from forfeiture sales, but also from timber sales and other revenue producing activities on the land. So it's not just forfeitures.
I think to get back to the chair on his question of why wouldn't they wait, maybe I could ask Tony. The bridge was first built in 1965,
Correct.
correct, with no public dollars, no tax dollars at all.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so that bridge was used by everybody, not only the residents of Sturgeon Island, Sturgeon Lake, Pine County, Minnesota, but anyone, I guess, who could drive a car or have a wedding photo or a picture or bring their veteran or their young child or disabled and fish from either side of that bridge. Is that
That's
correct?
actually what I heard is that, is the only bridge in the state of Minnesota that you can drive through.
Okay.
And that bridge's been there forever, and all we did, we just replaced it because it was falling apart. But I really, Mr. Chairman, I really like to know the person's name that told you that they paid for people's driveway and stuff like that, because that is not absolutely true.
Okay.
which contract, because we have two contracts, bridge
So
builder
what-
and a
What, why did it cost the township all this extra money?
oh, the extra money, yes, that's as I explained, what they did, that they came in when,
The contractor did not complete the job as the contract said, then that is not legal. So they completed the job as the contract said, did they not, Mark?
Yeah.
I guess the good thing out of this project is Windermere Township will be hiring their own engineer in the future. We haven't had this issue before. This project it's been about a 10-year process, so we're looking forward to being over. It was controversial. Some people didn't want it replaced. Some people wanted to cover. Some people wanted box culverts. So I think whatever decision you make, it shouldn't be made based on what happened with the bridge. If you think it's a good project, great, but it has nothing to do with the bridge project. So.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, can I make a, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Go ahead, Roger, if you want to ask.
Sure,
You
Roger.
got something for him.
I was actually gonna make a motion that, to amend your motion, that it be sent back to the Land Advisory Committee. I think there's some new information that's seems to be surfacing here. And I think people just need time to digest that and maybe something can be worked out, maybe not. But rather than doing it here, I think the Land Advisory Committee.
Thank
is
you,
the
Roger.
Place to
That's what I
kind of
meant.
hash that back out again.
I'll
So-
second that motion.
Yeah, and just one
would-
other point, Mr. Chair.
Mhm.
We've given Windermere Township hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of engineering services
Mhm.
over the last 10 years. So, you know, we do that. We've been able to help all the townships. We don't charge them for our services, but unfortunately, we've reached a point with Windermere that we can't continue to do that. So.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you, Mark.
I would just like to make one. Thanks, Roger, because I think we do need, we can look at it again at committee. But I remember when I asked about parking there and they said there really isn't any parking even where this pier is gonna be because it's so skinny. So that's an issue too. And then the water depth doesn't meet criteria for a pier. It's still only 3 feet deep. So what are you gonna do on the pier?
Mhm.
So it's like,
Is that,
it's like a pier to nowhere. They need it-
Why the DNR?
Yeah, right. They want a 9 to
They
10
wanna
foot.
Explore the DNR option.
Yeah,
because it's-
They want a 9 feet of water or something.
But we
like that.
have several fishing piers in Pine County. And I believe everyone I know of
Kind of like the road to nowhere on Crooked Lake.
Well, that gets used.
has been
Nowhere.
supplied by the
Do I need
DNR.
to?
We made a part.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if a motion to amend the motion was made, you could take action. If there's a second, you could vote on the amendment and then you could vote on the main motion. And so as I understand.
So I had a second on mine.
And I had a second, I seconded Roger's motion.
So where are we at?
Taking a vote on the amendment. And the amendment, as I understand it, is to refer the matter back to the Land Advisory Committee. Is that correct?
Okay. Correct. Okay. Any other
Second on
discussion
that
on that?
motion?
It's already been seconded.
Yep. Okay, any other discussion on that?
When's the land advisory meeting then? So they have ample time to come attend it. And if any other commissioners want to attend, when's the next land advisory? You know, is one scheduled?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Waldheim, there's not one scheduled, so they would call a special meeting presumably.
Okay.
Some-
Is there a way that where they can, when they could be notified of that meeting to make sure that they have they can represent themselves there and then we can discuss it further?
Yeah, and I would defer to Josh and to Matt as to when they would want to hold a meeting, but we would certainly notify the township and.
Here's your land committee right here, Matt. and-
He's in front of us, yeah.
yeah, I was.
Made it to the last one, I'm sure they'll
Yep.
figure it out. Okay,
Any other question?
all in favor? Aye.
I,
Oh, same thing.
So now vote on the main motion, which would be the same action now to actually refer it to the Land Committee.
Okay.
Land Advisory Committee.
All right. On the first motion. To refer it back to the land committee. Any discussion on that one? All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed, same thing. Okay,
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just a record clarification. When the topic was introduced, I'm not sure if it was that there were two Windermere supervisors at the meeting or two representatives. I just want to clarify that there was one supervisor who was Tony Bakatari, and then Vern Anderson was present representing the township, but in its capacity as road manager.
All right, so the trail master plan in Pine County in conjunction with Caneva County.
And Mr. Chair, the request today is to schedule a public meeting. It doesn't have to be a public hearing, but we would publish notice and advertise it. And Greg Anderson is the engineer who worked on the plan, and he is available September 16th to add that to your regular agenda on the 16th, if that's satisfactory.
And we need to make a motion for that, right?
Yes.
I'll move that.
Okay, a motion and second. Any discussion on that? Steve?
I did.
And any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing. All right, and then remove parcel from tax forfeited auction and consider replacement and rehabilitation program. Recommended to the county board that parcel 16.0280.00 be removed from the tax forfeited auction and consider the partial and rehabilitation program in conjunction with Carrick Township.
I'll move that.
Okay. I'll second. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing.
Want me to take over, Josh?
Sure.
The 2025 fall land auction sales. Recommend to the county board parcels to be included in the September 19th, 2025 in-person land auction. And the terms and conditions for the auction, which includes relisting the new forfeitures on MinBid from October 21st through the 30th, 2025. Consider approval of resolution 2025-27, setting the 2025 Pine County tax forfeit land auction sale terms and conditions, and authorize the board chair and county administrator to sign. You want to keep doing them one or to go through all of these first? Want to do all in one? Okay. Recommend the county board parcel to be included on the adjoining landowner auction and the terms and conditions for that auction. Consider approval of resolution 2025-28, a resolution for tax forfeit land auction limited to adjoining property owners and authorize the board chair and a county administrator to sign. And I will move that, Mr. Chair.
I'll second. Any discussion on them? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing.
Okay, then on the F is the easement purchases. Recommend the county board to authorize the purchase of 2 easements across property identification number 32-0088.00 from Mark and Christine Bartels and Ryan Stefan for $2,500, ensuring access to all portion of tax forfeit land PID 32-0097.00. The county board approved this action at its meeting on July 15th, 2025. This note serves only to accurately reflect the actions taken by the Land Advisory Committee. No further action necessary. We already approved that. Easement requests. Recommend the county board establish a non-exclusive public easement on the Old Town roads for utilities, roadway, and recreational use. Consider approval of resolution 2025-29 for the abandoned New Dozy Town Road easement and authorize the county board chair and county administrator to sign. Recommend the county board approve an easement across property identification number 20.0470.00 to Jet Tai Yang and Parlor Moa, and that the purchase price and easement definition be brought back to the county board no later than August 5th, 2027 for final approval. Consider approval of resolution 2025-30 authorizing an easement for Jet Tai Yang and Parlor, authorize the county board chair and county administrator to sign. Other items are information only. I'll move those.
I'll second. Any discussion on them?
I got a question.
Yep.
On the, why would it, for an easement, why would it have to go out to 2027? Can the easement be quicker than that? Or am I reading that wrong?
I think that's just for the,
I can speak
Oh,
to that.
thank you,
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Kelly Schroeder, County Auditor Treasurer. It's not anticipated to go out to 2027. However, we wanted to have a hard deadline for them to get the work done. So the main
Oh,
work that they have to get done is have it surveyed.
Okay.
And so we just wanted an end date to make sure 5 years from now, if they didn't actually complete it, they couldn't come back and say, hey, I want to do that.
End date or or what do they say, a sunset on something, right?
Right.
End date or sunset date. Okay,
given time.
all right, thank you.
Thanks, Killen.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, same thing. All right, Pine County District Court update.
Mr. Chair, yeah, we, Judge Martin is planning on 11 o'clock.
Okay.
So if you want to just skip ahead
Yep.
to number 3 and then come back when she arrives.
Okay, letter of support for sale of SCI to Midco. It looks like Leslie's got that.
Good morning, Leslie Sauter, Economic Development Coordinator. Here to ask for a letter of support on behalf of SEI Broadband to sell their company to Midco. This is part of the paperwork process that is needed because of the Reconnect grant. The OCA Reconnect folks want, to know that the county board supports this sale. We've seen no reason to not support it. Both companies are great to work with. And Midco has indicated that they will fulfill the obligations of the grant and actually work with SEI's current staff to make sure the project gets done. So.
I would move that. I think it's a. Midco's been here a long time in Pine County and so is SCI and they've been wonderful partners for the communities that they serve and for the schools. The school districts were among the first in the whole United States to be able to do distance learning, and it's thanks to SCI and Midco. Especially Midco held the master contract for that for many years.
Yep.
All right, we got a motion. We got a second.
I'll second that.
All right. Is there any other discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing. All right, letter of support to Minnesota Broadband Equity Access and Development Program, same thing. Okay,
Well, similar.
Okay.
Thank you. This is a letter of support. I believe the Minnesota Department of Broadband Development is looking for letters of support from their partners throughout the state because they're getting ready to administer the BEAD program, which is federal funding. And I think there's been some changes. And so this is letter of support to just say, we helped develop that plan. We participated in it. We did surveys and gave feedback on what access to broadband looks like in rural areas. And we would just like the state to be able to administer it the way the state developed it with input from folks across the state. So that's what this letter of support is stating, is that we do support their current plan and would like to proceed forward with it as written.
I would make a motion.
okay,
Right now.
I'll second that. Is there any other commitment from us other than the letter of support?
Just a letter of support.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll second that.
okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie.
All right, establishing county state aid highway.
Yeah, so this is the last step in the turn back of Trunk Highway 123. And it establishes County State Highway 30 would be the east-west portion, which continues on out to Duxbury. And the north-south stretch would be County State Aid Highway 29. That comes up from the prison, so they'll jog over and then go north 4 miles. Anticipate about $140,000 a year increase in our state aid between the construction and maintenance. So that'll be every year forever, as long as there's state aid system. And we should be receiving the big giant check for about $5.4 million here anytime. State's pretty good at doing paperwork, but they struggle when getting a check to the right person seems to be an issue. So we'll see.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mark, no, so this adds that much mileage to our total road system and to our state aid.
Yep, this would
right?
be on our
We didn't
state
have
aid
to-
system.
We didn't have to turn
No.
the back something to it.
No, so it's an increase, so, you know, the negative is we gotta maintain it and we gotta, reconstruct and things like that. The lump sum money, we'll use some of that for a project in probably about 10 years. But every year we're gaining that 140 grand,
Right.
you know, and so I anticipate there'll be a fair amount of money left over that will be in our fund balance for future, whatever expenses the board decides.
When do we start this plowing in this
Well,
winter?
Yeah, well, the turn back is supposed to be the end of the fiscal 24 year, so that was last week, so. It's ours apparently, but
But we haven't.
we're waiting for the money before we do anything.
That's typical.
So if you get snow now, you're not gonna plow it yet.
Yeah.
right? Go ahead, Roger.
So I'm just want to clarify, I think I know where the start and stopping point is, but it is at the top of the hill where the intersection of
Yeah, it's at the city limits of Sandstone, so,
where, I don't know if it's Wildlife Road or Prison Road, what.
well, the actual limit is gonna be west of there. We got an agreement with the state, they're gonna plow through the bridge and they'll turn around at the prison road, just so they have a safe place to turn around, so. So we didn't get anything in town and didn't get the bridge and
Yeah, that was my.
everything they wanted to get rid of.
They keep the
They're
bridge.
not very good negotiators because they kept everything they didn't want and gave everything they did. So I don't know who made
And
that deal.
29 will start at the three-way stop sign and
Yep,
go
yep,
north.
Yep.
Got it.
And it won't be 60 miles an hour anymore. So watch your speed limit when you go through there. It'll be 55. So,
Okay.
So did they keep the whole canyon, that washing?
oh yeah, yeah,
And the bridge,
Good.
again.
yeah.
That's
Bridge. That's.
And that was the same,
Oh.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I remember right, that was the same bridge that designer, contractor, everything, the one in Minneapolis that.
Yeah, it's got the same,
Vintage.
it doesn't have, 100 million tons of aggregate sitting on it.
Stacked on it, right?
Yeah.
But same contractor. And Mr.
Same,
Chair,
same design, so they did do an inspection back when the I-35 bridge collapsed.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Then if I remember right, we were discussing this, you pretty much, the county workers pretty much drive that stretch of road anyway. They
Correct.
just had been lifting their plow up
Correct.
and then
Yeah,
so
yeah.
now it's just. a
The
matter-
north-south stretch will be, but basically we were going through there, anyways, and so it seemed like it
A good
made
fit.
sense for everybody. So,
Then another question, like with addresses, how they lay the addresses out, if I understand, you gotta leave room in between for adding houses. How did you come up with Highway 30 or County 30? How do you?
Well, I
Fit
think the
between-
911 department, down in the sheriff's department come up with,
straight.
and the,
Oh, so
between
they-
them and the mailbox, yeah, so.
Gotcha.
I don't know if their number will change, but it probably will. I mean, I know Aaron's been working with the people on the road to get their new addresses.
So the address, they're working on it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that's the only kind of snafu is, people gotta have a new address. That's kind of a pain for everybody, but,
Okay.
And adding a few miles to the state aid program, then that ups the funding a little bit on the state aid program, right? Or
yeah,
does it-
about 140,000 a year. Some of that gets in our construction account. Some of that it goes in our main. That's where we get that annually. So,
Okay.
and then we had talked about purchasing a piece of equipment and possibly hiring another mechanic with some of those funds. So we'll be looking at that down the road here. So,
Okay.
Right.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, so we need a motion.
I'll move.
Okay, Matt,
I'll second.
Roger, second,
Jay.
or JJ? All right. Any discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same thing. All right. Number 6, county administrator position. All right, so on July 22nd, County Administrator David Minke submitted his voluntary resignation. So acknowledge the resignation of good standing County Administrator David Minke effective September 4th, 2025. We need a motion for that. So question, if we don't approve this, can you leave?
That's another part. It's a hard motion to make because it's like, we're gonna get rid of you.
So part of my duties as administrator is to make sure that the county board is viewed as having authority to make decisions. Unfortunately, that's one decision you really don't have authority over. So that's why it's acknowledge and not do anything else with.
Yeah,
Move to acknowledge.
okay. I won't hold it against you, Roger.
I'll second. And you can hold it against me.
I won't hold it against you. Discussion, is there any discussion? I'd just like to say thank you. We'll get into this a little later too, but David is leaving on good standings. People I've talked to, he's taken a good position in Aiken County. He's not far away. I've talked to their commissioners over there. They have assured us, just to get it in public, all our staff, will have his phone number. I've talked to their commissioners that they have assured me that he will answer the phone call when he sees a Pine County phone number calling. And so if we need him, he does like us still. So he just got an opportunity. He said he couldn't refuse and wants to retire on a lake in Aiken County. So maybe if we get the nano bubbles on a few more lakes over here, he'll want to be here, but we'll see. So any other discussion on that? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, same thing. Now consider the process to fill the county administrator position. With that, I would like to make a motion to promote Kelly Schroeder as county administrator. With that, I'd just like to say a few things. Kelly has worked for the county for 13 years, has always risen to the task given to her. She knows the county and how to work with the people on really difficult situations. Kelly is very well respected by staff of the county. I think going into the next couple years, given Kelly's background, she's gonna have the right skill set to make this county very efficient. She's good with the funding part of it. She's, one thing, if you just think about it, going through budget stuff, when, we look at I'm just gonna pick on Jeff because he's here. You look at the sheriff's department. Hey, where can we save some money in the sheriff's department? Even Jeff, he would look to Kelly. Hey, where can we save money? Terry, he would look to Kelly. Hey, where can we save some money? I mean, I know you guys know your budgets. I'm not saying you don't know your budgets, but there's stuff that she knows the money situations on, and Mark as well. And I think we're going, Roger, me and you have had a lot of conversations about money situations going forward. We're going into some really tough times here. And I think that's gonna be a really, really big part of this, is why I think Kelly is a really good choice for that. She'll know how to squeeze every little penny out of our budget. One other thing why I'd like to push this forward as soon as we can is the sooner we can get this done, the sooner we can backfill her position. She's doing, I don't know, 3-4 jobs right now. I'm not even quite sure, maybe even possibly more than that. And I know that part of that's her decision, but I think the sooner we can get this position filled, the sooner we can really start working on, the domino effect of getting them other positions risen to the task. I've had a few conversations with Kelly. She is very interested in the position. She is very I think very capable of the position. I've talked to a lot of staff, a lot of department heads, a lot of supervisors that are very excited when I've mentioned her name. That would be very welcoming to work with her. And I don't know, I think it just is the right decision and just the right time to move forward. And that's, I think we're all in.
Mr. Chair,
That's my motion.
I think when we think about Kelly, she understands the zoning. She understands the assessing. She understands the auditor role. And been working with our county administrator the whole time he's been here. So I think she came up through the ranks, actually. I even went to meetings with her when she went to all the townships on the SSTS stuff. And so we went to all over the county. So she understands the role of everything in the county and how it comes together. And she's always had to work with every department on their budgets. So in a sense, yes, I think she understands this county better than we do, you know. That's all I'll say.
So I do have a motion out there. I'd be looking for a second.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
I don't disagree with anything you've said. I'm just a little more on the pondering side of things. And you know, even though we've got this letter and we've had time to think about it, I would appreciate having probably a little more time to ponder on it. I think Kelly, without a doubt, is one of the most capable people we could ever hope to find to come here. So I question my own sanity why I'm jumping all over this, but I've looked around at other counties. You kind of watch what goes on, because for a long time in my life, I probably thought David was not going to retire out of Pine County. I don't know why I thought that, David, but you always kind of got to think of your next move. I've seen what other counties have gone through, and it's I'm really not I would not look forward at all to being without an administrator for 6 months to a year. And that's about what it's taking other counties to get to a position. And then basically we've been interviewing Kelly for 13 years. We saw her work ethic. We saw how she deals with people. And to me, that's really, really high on the list, because the administrator is the face of the county board. They're the face of the county. And I've seen people come in here pretty hopping mad and spend a half hour or more with Kelly and leave here maybe without having their issue go their way, but always leave here knowing they've been listened to and the situation has been explained to them, and they, not one person has said, that's the wickedest woman I've ever met. They all compliment her on her ability to stay calm, and I appreciate that.
Yep.
Hey, a couple things. I'm looking at the in our packets, the options that were kind of laid out for us. And you can do a direct appointment, which is kind of your motion at this point. You can conduct an internal search, or you can go external. Those are the three really options. I would say this is a decision that is probably one of the most important decisions that we are going to be making as a board, at least in whether it's short-term, long-term, intermediate term here, who our administrator is going to be. So in light of that, how important that is, I would agree with Steve in the sense of, I think we really need some time to digest this. And again, maybe it's not like it's a surprise to us today, but we're at all different stages of what are we going to do about this? And maybe there'd and I expect that there'd be conversations, private, whatever, what should we do, whatever. I just haven't had a chance to do that, to have a discussion amongst the board about where we're going to go and to try to force that into, 15 minutes on such an important decision. Now, it very well may be that we're going to end up exactly where you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be forced to have to vote no against somebody that I really think is highly qualified and could very well be our next administrator. And I think by waiting a little bit and maybe even cracking the door a little bit, I'm looking at this number 2. I think it makes, if we ultimately collectively as a board make a decision, I think it gives confidence to our board that we're in agreement. It also sends a message to whoever the administrator is that we believe in you and we believe, after carefully considering it, you are the best qualified person. And I think that I don't know, you can't really put how do you put that in a box? That knowing that you were honestly selected amongst a lot of different options and chose not to go to the outside. But after careful consideration, I think that speaks a lot. It would to me. And so I would propose, because I don't want us, I'm in agreement with you, Josh. I don't want this thing being drug out, because, but maybe give us a week. We're meeting next week again, and we're actually meeting for the next couple of weeks. Maybe we, in the interim time here between now and next week, we allow us to have these conversations, and maybe there's an application that comes to our administrator. I just think somehow we need to have there needs to be an element of how this is all done sort of publicly. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah,
And
I think.
And it gets, this is all great, because that's what gets sticky, is we can't have these conversations outside this place. So, so we do have a meeting next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, we got one the following Tuesday. We could have another one if we needed one.
Next Tuesday's,
Can we do it we've got budget, can we do it at the end of our budget meeting,
do we have the agenda for next Tuesday?
Here's my
Al?
problem, Roger. I got an eye surgery thing in the afternoon, so could we do it before our budget meeting?
That's fine. That's fine with me.
And
I don't hear, what did Steve say?
well, because next Tuesday, I got a conflict with an eye surgeon.
Oh.
Which is,
No,
you can't
here's
just go there when you want.
my only reason for pushing it ahead is September 4th is coming up really quick. the sooner we can get this going, the sooner we can back, that whole end of the courthouse is gonna be in complete disarray. That's a very important part of the courthouse, a very important part of the courthouse. That is gonna have a big void. And I don't wanna hinder our decision on that, and we can't hinder our decision on that. But the sooner we can make this decision, the sooner that can start getting rebuilt, and that's where the problem, so I would like to have, you know, or I don't know, I agree. I just, you know, and in the meantime, if September 4th comes and goes, do we appoint Kelly as the acting administrator along with the auditor treasurer, along with the zoning administrator, along with everything else? And or you're not, and then, you know, so this is where, you know, or do we just, here's the other thing, we have a long meeting today. Do we revisit this again at the end of the day, or you don't wanna?
That's too soon, I think. I think
Mr. Chair?
we're shorting the process.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, thank you for what you said. Makes perfect sense. Thank you. And Roger, you also makes perfect sense. This is the first I've heard of, you know, your idea here. And yes, we need time. I agree with Steve and Roger both. What you guys said is very wise, what you said.
Could we, here's the deal. I'm convinced in my mind, we're gonna end up with Kelly. It's very, very rare that you have somebody on board to transition with the administrator that's leaving. We just pretend we pick Kelly and I think we will, but we'll just pretend we don't. We're gonna have no transition. So we meet next Tuesday. We can carve out some time Tuesday to have a discussion after we've mulled it over for a week. And then we could, on the 19th, if I would actually propose that we have the world's shortest application process of internal candidates, and they get their applications to us by next Tuesday. We accept them. We take a look at them. If we need to have a discussion, we can. And then on the 19th, we have a meeting, which still is 2 weeks prior to David leaving. And it gives me time. I just need processing time. I just do. And I think I sense other people do too. And then maybe there's somebody we haven't even thought of that comes out of the woodwork that works here. The awesome thing that David has given us is great mentorship to people that work here. So we not only have one person, but I think we could all pick several people that, and we've had them fill in as when David's gone on vacation. They've done wonderfully. But nevertheless, that would be, I would, if it takes me making a motion to delay the vote on your motion until August 19th. I would rather do option 2 and have a short window of application time. And if people are interested, they can get that to us.
Yeah, and then I would just like to add with that, Steve, that sounds great. I believe there was some other jobs that were posted internally and I had got some or Mr. Chair had stated he gets employees that have asked questions and he hears, I don't know why we wouldn't want to open it up to the public and have an open interview process to get the right candidate, because there's also the veterans preference that we also try to follow. I think, you know,
Well,
it just opens it to more candidates. It opens it up to
Mr.
do the right thing, to get the highest qualified person.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
just point of information, the Minnesota Veterans Preference Law does not apply to department head positions, and the county administrator is considered a department head.
So to get back to Roger and Steve, looking at the number 2, conduct an internal search, inviting applications from current employees. If we did this and invited them to have applications to us by the next board meeting next Tuesday.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
So you can make that schedule whatever you want. If people are interested in the job, they could get you their information prior to that date. They could have it to you by Friday, so you could look at it over the weekend.
Okay.
I mean, it's not, because as I heard someone say, it's the simplest application process. It'd be like a resume, a cover letter, right? Because they're internal candidates.
Right.
So it would be, if the goal is to give you the maximum amount of time to think without extending the timeline more than necessary, they shouldn't need more than, I would think, a few days to get you their information.
Mr. Chair, question for David.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
What, if we just said it Friday, so I just looked, we have, on Tuesday, we have budget between 9 and 3. What do we have left on that?
I don't think you will use the whole day for that. So it seems reasonable you could schedule time on that day to do the interviews. If you wanted to do them beforehand or after, will be a question. And then if you decide to do it that day, if you would just make a motion to amend the special meeting to include that as part of the special meeting, because you have to, a special meeting is limited to the topics that you identify.
So if we just said, what if we just said we have everything by Friday sent in? Could it go to Jackie?
Yep.
Jackie could get it compiled to us Friday or even Monday morning. We could just look it over. Or even Friday at noon or something like that. It could get to us. We could look it over the weekend. And then Tuesday, sometime in our meeting, we can look it over and just have a discussion. Or try to do
Well,
an interview.
I
depending-
I think we would like to, if you've got an applications in, I think at that point, we just don't want to sit on them.
Okay.
We want to move forward. So I would suggest at that time, once we know who's internally applying, that we allow administration, because they're putting the agenda together, that they know who's applied, they know how much time we think we'll need, and then the rest of the time is going to be budget. So let's leave it up to administration to schedule the timeframes.
You guys comfortable with that?
I am.
Okay, Roger.
Yes, as long as we have that first to accommodate Steve.
Okay, so what I heard is there will be a motion to amend the motion that you made to request applications from internal candidates, to have them submit materials to Jackie by Friday noon. Jackie will distribute those to commissioners by the end of the day Friday. And then we will schedule, as part of the special meeting on Tuesday, interviews with those candidates. We'll consider anyone who applies a finalist, in which case their name will be public, and schedule interviews for that day, targeting not more than an hour per candidate. Is that reasonable?
I don't think it would take an hour.
Yeah.
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
45 minutes probably.
So where's the decision made to have it not be open to all candidates?
I think we
How's
decided
that?
that.
We don't vote on that or anything, or that's just, you have the,
Well, Mr. Chair, I'm paraphrasing what I'm hearing as a
Oh.
discussion point, and it would take somebody to make either vote on the main motion or amend the main motion that's on the floor to explain the parameters of what you would like to see in the next week.
So, Mr. Chair, to clarify, so if I make that motion, which I'm intending to answer your question, JJ, at the end of that internal process, if we don't like any of the internal candidates, that's when it defaults to, let's open it up to everybody and go through this big formal process. So that is, it's not cut out of the process, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 2 and we're not gonna jump right to 3.
Right.
So if we're not satisfied with the internals, we
Then
can
we-
do that option.
Yes.
So that's my motion to amend.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any other discussion on that?
Yeah, I have a discussion.
Yeah.
So then if our candidate is our current auditor, would we then have discussion or could we be prepared to then look at all the information? Because I believe that position could be an elected position like it used to be. Would we go back to that?
Well,
Or would we look at doing that? Or are we just
I
then
would-
going to?
I wouldn't look at it that way, JJ. I would, I think that's.
Because I believe a county can have either or. Is that correct, David? You can have an elected
But that
position
would,
or an
that
appointed.
would be a whole nother discussion.
And that's at any point in time we can do that. That doesn't have to do.
I guess I'd request that, then the information on that, just so I could, it would help me weigh in on my
That
decision.
doesn't matter whether or not Kelly's our.
Request to be for
auditor.
David if I could get that information.
Yeah, and that,
Thank you, David.
that's probably a question I would defer to the county attorney and he can share the legal process to.
Just to get a jump on if we have another position to fill after this, I just want to look at all options.
So any other discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Right.
Hi.
Opposed, same thing. And then I have to amend mine now, right?
That was
That was
That
the
was the vote on
Okay.
the amendment.
All
I'll
right.
just vote on the main motion.
On my main motion?
Yep, which would be the amendment.
Okay, all right. Okay,
I'm
any
confused,
discussion
but
on mine?
Can
But I
he
have
just
made the,
withdraw his motion?
yeah. can
No,
I
so
just-
you amended the motion. So the motion now that's
Oh,
on the table that
all right.
Josh originally made
Oh, okay,
is the
all
motion
right,
that you just.
yes.
Oh,
I
I got you.
All right,
Okay,
now are we on the same
Yeah.
page? All right,
okay.
any discussion on my amended motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed, same thing. Sorry to confuse everybody.
And then, Mr. Chair, there
Yes.
was just something said that I can't leave hanging, and that is the offices down there will not be in disarray. I just, I want to speak to the quality of the supervisors you have here. And at the same time, recognize that you have put an untenable load of work on the auditor treasurer. And that needs to be top of mind with regard to the future of this county. Because you cannot continue to expect whoever that person is to manage the amount of work that is currently being required.
Yeah, when you've gone on vacation and have been gone, everything seems to run accordingly in that, so. That's good.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Well, just
Yeah, go ahead.
10 seconds.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I realized today we've had several of these amendments to the motion. And that's the sticky wicket of public meetings and public discussion, because we often can't jump into something unless there's a motion made.
Yep.
But then as things change, that's how you navigate through this. And so there's several other ways you could go about it. And again, it seems a little cumbersome, but that's the public process.
Yep.
And so we just learned to live with that.
Yeah, so it was good. I think it was good.
So.
And I would just add, and this is amplifying something I heard Roger say, he didn't want to vote against something. And I think in both of those cases, you had made motions that people would not necessarily want to vote against. So if you amend the motion, then you remove that as an option, which seems in the public interest.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate it. Sorry to make you sit through that. You missed the first one. That was a good one too, so. So we're gonna go back to number 2, Pine County District Court update, Judge Martin. You can get the flap.
Hold your applause till the end, because you might not want it. Oh my gosh, so I spend all day, most days, looking at a Zoom screen, looking at myself. And now I'm looking at my backside. Oh, my gosh. I can see myself from every angle today. Well, good morning and thank you for inviting me to come and give you an update on the state of the courts. I think we're a little ahead of schedule. It hasn't quite been a year since I was here last, but I'm leaving. So Mr. Minke invited me to come before I retire. I just want to say, completely off script, this business you guys just went through, I used to serve, as you know, for 6 years on the Minnesota Judicial Council, which is, 20 judges and administrators, and it's a big room and we all sit around. And Justice Anderson was a stickler for the rules of order. So we would do this business over and over. So I get it, Commissioner Nelson, we'd all be like, what are we voting on? What's happening? And we had Justice Anderson there to keep us in line, but it was sometimes very messy. So, and there would be like an amendment, another amendment, and a call to question, and it got really messy. So those who enjoy sausage and the law should see neither being made, right? It's the famous quote. So, so I just appreciate the chance to give you the state of the courts. I think things are pretty much status quo. The court administrator is here with me today, Amy Willard. So I'm going to ask her if she has anything she wants to add to the presentation at various points. And again, I'm always happy to answer questions. So feel free to ask me any questions that you might have and interrupt my flow. That would be perfectly fine. So a few changes in our court operations since my last presentation to the board. As of January 1st, Judge Nguyen handles all child protection cases for the 4 counties in the PIC. That includes Pine, Isanti, Kanabec, and Chisago. So this is a very challenging caseload for her. It takes a lot of her time. Judge Stefan and I handle all of the assigned family and civil cases in Pine. And we do most of the criminal calendars as well. And Judge Stefan continues to offer case relief in Isanti, doing 1 week of criminal calendars every 9 weeks. So we are overjudged. There are 3 of us in Pine, and that is, we have a lower judge need than that. But that is in part.
It's when the blinds are adjusted up above.
Oh, up, they must be shutting the blinds up above. Yeah. I'm used to distractions. I just keep rolling, right?
Sorry about that.
That's okay. So anyway, we have our judges deployed in lots of different areas rather than just handling Pine County cases. Another change has been the addition of equipment in the jury deliberations room that allow jurors to view electronic evidence. And then there's a requirement now as of January 1st that all evidence be admitted electronically if possible. So as you probably know, sometimes evidence is not able to be uploaded electronically. It might be a piece of clothing or a bag of a substance or a weapon, a tangible item. We're not talking about those things. But anytime you have a video, photographs, paper documents, those all have to be uploaded now electronically. They are shown electronically in the courtroom to the jury. And then when the jury goes back to the deliberation room, they're given a code and they then they have a big screen back there, and then they access the records, the exhibits that way. I think it's gone okay. Reese and I had a trial together recently, and there was a call for help from the jury deliberation room. We had to send a clerk back there, but they're all trained on running the equipment. So I think for the most part, it's fairly intuitive. We do show them a little video so they know how to run the equipment. And then they, if they need help, the bailiffs can help them or our staff can help them. And then I always jokingly tell the lawyers, make sure we have a couple of younger people on the jury because they're always a little more tech savvy. And when somebody says they're in the IT and then they get excused from the jury, I'm always, oh, darn, we need them. But for the most part, I think they're figuring it out okay. And it's going pretty smoothly. Don't you think it's going pretty smoothly? I think, yeah. I mean, change is hard, but anything else like locally that you think we should talk about, Amy?
I don't think so. I think like it's been going well because the county attorney, you know, the attorney presented the couple, like
Yeah.
I said, with that, they roll with the punches. We have, I guess, IT, our courtrooms are down a lot more than they're up. And
Yeah.
we're lucky to have judges who roll with that as well as attorneys and everybody too.
Yeah.
That is no contract through the state, so when we have trouble with IT, they go to Bloom and they come out, but your IT here is always still very helpful to come help out, so.
They really are. The local IT has been wonderful, even though they're not the vendors. And there have been times when we'll have a jury in courtroom A, and then all of a sudden something happens and we have to move everybody to courtroom B. And we just really have to be flexible, because that's how technology is, you know, what can you do, right? So as far as the judicial branch at a state level, we are under a state budget crisis. You probably all know that. And that's put some pressure on the judicial branch's budget. We struggle with things like psych services, jury budgets, cybersecurity, you know, those things that are just mandatory, but they have increasing and often unpredictable costs. There is a group that's been formed recently called ASD3. I don't really know what it's, whatever that is. I don't know. But what their job is to, it's a group of judges and administrators, high level, that are tasked with looking for efficiencies and cost saving opportunities. The next 2 years are going to be fiscally challenging. We've been through it before. I'll tell you why I know that, because we had an ASD1 and then an ASD2, and now we have an ASD3. So every time we kind of have some budget issues, we convene and try to figure things out with a new group. The judiciary is working on a large scale project to convert our documents to accessible formatting for people who have the documents read to them. So folks with vision impairments. And that's been a large project, because all of our documents have to have like a certain type and a certain way of being set up. And you can imagine there's like 360 judges in the state. We all do our orders differently a little bit. So we have to really have some conformity there and with our forms. And so it's been a very big project. The judiciary by statute was mandated to start a competency restoration program. And we now have to, we now assign a navigator in cases where we have a defendant who's deemed incompetent to stand trial in a criminal matter. The purpose of the navigator is to work with the defendant to regain competency. And what we found is that guess what we found? There's not enough navigators, not enough resources. So we have a lot of cases on waiting lists where we get notices saying we don't have a navigator, we're waiting. And so if we see our cases aging, or if you see them aging, or if your constituents are like, hey, I was the victim of a theft and nothing's happening on my case, that could be why. The person might be incompetent to stand trial. We're waiting for them to regain competency. And we really can't use the commitment process as much as we used to because of the commitment standards. And not everybody that's incompetent meets the standards for civil commitment. I think that's the big thing statewide, Amy. Okay. Any questions so far? So as you know, I'm retiring this fall. My last day is going to be September 19th in the office. There is going to be a party. I think you were all invited, right? Did you get an invite?
Yep.
Okay. Be fun to see you there if you want to come. I'm going to be on vacation from the 19th of September through October 6th. So my last actual date, my retirement date that I sent to the governor is October 6th. You should know that Judge Stoney Hillius, who's chambered in Kanabec and has been on the bench since 2012, will be moving to Pine. He put in to take the seat here, the chambers here. So the appointment will be made in Kanabec. There's also a vacancy in Isanti at exactly the same time. Judge Brosnahan is retiring October 7th. So we have 2 vacancies and the 9 judges in the pick. It's going to be a pretty big transition, some uncertainty, but some calendaring challenges, some staffing changes. There's going to be some unavoidable delays as we get the new judges up to speed. So again, if you hear from your constituents, things aren't moving, that could be part of it, but we have a plan in place to try to keep operations going. I had some time to think about kind of what it was like when I became a judge. I was appointed by Governor Jesse Ventura, Jesse the Body Ventura. Hey, I'm legit. I am legit. Back in 2001, I met him. Have you ever met that man? He's giant.
Yeah.
He's a giant man. So back in the, I just, I thought just in a retrospective, you might be interested in, kind of some of the changes that have happened that a lot of you have been involved in over the years. I mean, when I first went on the bench, we were in the old building. Commissioner Ludwig testified many times in that old building, and all of our files were paper. Everything was paper. We had a rolling cart that we put boxes on that had all of our files in it. So this morning, for instance, I had like 23 cases on my morning calendar. There would have been 23 paper files, and we'd have rolled them into the courtroom, and I would have said State versus Jones, and then I would dug through the file, pulled it out, right? You remember that? Open it up. There it is, right? Now everything, of course, is on laptops. Everything is electronic. In the old courthouse, we used to bring the inmates over 2 at a time in handcuffs. They'd go across the parking lot, get on the elevator, go down the public hallway, come into the courtroom. We had a few runners. Remember back, some people thought they could run in, handcuffs and leg irons. Sometimes they got away and didn't make it very far usually, but that was not the most safe way to handle things. And then we'd have juveniles out in the hall waiting for their cases. And then here would come someone down the hall in leg irons and handcuffs. It was quite a spectacle. Back in those days, my chambers were right across the hall across the public hallway from the courtroom. So I put on my robe, and then I walk out in the public hallway in my robe, and I would walk into the court administrator's office, the actual office, and that's how I accessed my courtroom, was from the court administrator's office. Can you imagine that if you had to see me every day coming and going? I used the public bathroom, and I can tell you there were some scary moments in that public bathroom. And we had no central air in that building. So they would put these giant box fans at the end of the hall, like they have in the barns during the fair, and they turn those things on and try to blow the stink out of the place. I mean, I don't know. It was crazy. We were hot a lot. So things have really changed. The lawyers used to use these giant easels, and the civil lawyers would bring in these giant poster boards, or they would blow up their exhibits. And now, of course, we have everything electronically, like I've just told you. And we used to have in the old courthouse, I don't know if you remember this, Commissioner Ludwig, there was stencil that said no smoking in the courtroom on the door. Because it used to be people, they'd smoke, judges would smoke, the staff would smoke, everybody'd smoke right in the courtroom. Now we put that on the Zoom screen, and still sometimes people show up, smoke at a cigarette. I'll be like, are you smoking a cigarette? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm smoking a cigarette. So we saw everybody in person, all day, every day. And now we do a lot remotely. And I know there's been a lot of, discussion about that. Is it good? Is it bad? I think one of the things remote court has done has helped Mr. Frederickson keep one of the most experienced staffs that office has probably ever had. Those lawyers are wonderful. He has a great group of attorneys in his office, and I'm going to miss them very much. That is one thing I will miss. And on the flip side of that, the public defender's office has been able to retain really experienced lawyers. And so I think in Pine County, we really run some of the tightest ship, I would say, because we have great attorneys. They're great trial lawyers, and they get their work done. And it's just a pleasure to have them in court every day. So I think Zoom court has helped with that. Today, as I told you, I think I had 23 cases on. Some of those people were in custody, but I issued not one single arrest warrant. Everybody showed up for court. And I don't know what you think, Mr. Frederickson, 50% in the old days, if lucky, on felonies?
What was that when you first were in the bench?
Well, before we started doing remote court, probably 50%.
Really?
Mm-hmm. People who have warrants in other counties come to court remotely. They would never do that before. And then you'll say, hey, you've got a warrant out of Stearns County. You got to clear that up. Yep, I'm going to do that, Judge. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take care of that. But I mean, I don't know. It's just remarkable. I think it makes everyone's life so much easier when we're ready, when we're able to take the case, when we're ready to take it, instead of waiting for them to get picked up and then come in on those bail calendars, which can be, I think today that bail calendar is pretty big even at that. But, I don't know if you're interested in this or not, and please stop me if you're not, but I didn't know, if you'd be interested in my kind of thoughts about how the law has changed.
Yeah.
Because there have been some major United States Supreme Court cases that have literally had boots on the ground effect, rippled effect for us since I became a judge. One of them is Blakely versus Washington, the case that says if you're going to aggravate a sentence and give someone more time than the grid says, you have to give them a sentencing jury, and a jury has to find those factors by proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And when I first started as a judge, I made that decision by a preponderance of the evidence. It was a huge change. I think we're still grappling with Blakely versus Washington, don't you, Mr. Frederickson? I mean, we still have to really, there's a lot of jurisprudence out there surrounding Blakely versus Washington. The other case, Washington's a problem child, I guess. I was thinking is Crawford versus Washington. I mean, Crawford, I remember when Crawford was decided, we all just went, what are we going to do? It is an interpretation of the confrontation clause. And, or I would say an application of the confrontation clause. You know, everyone under the Constitution has a right to confront and cross-examine the witnesses against them. And so, but in domestic abuse cases, we often kind of suspend it. I would say we viewed it differently. And we would allow law enforcement. I'm sure Mr. Ludwig, you provided that, or Commissioner Ludwig, that testimony a lot. Law enforcement to talk about what the victim told them or what they learned at the scene, or even subsequent. You know, I had a later conversation and here's what he or she or they told us. And the Supreme Court said, no, that if it's, you know, if you're taking testimony to be used at trial, then that person has to be there to testify. And it really changed the way prosecutors litigate domestic abuse cases. It ends in a lot of cases being dismissed if you do not have cooperation. So again, if your constituents are asking about that, it's Crawford versus Washington. You can't just have an officer get up there and start talking about what happened. You've got to have the person there telling their story.
Could you use a recorded statement from that person?
It really depends. I mean, that's where like years of jurisprudence have happened. So what we've kind of come down to, Scalia wrote the opinion, and, you know, he's passed away, but, you know, he always thought he was smarter than everybody else, and maybe he was. But one of the things he didn't really do is describe much to us about how we apply it. And so what we've come to, what has been over years of us, you know, grappling with this, the way it works is if it's a statement made during an emergency. There's an emergency situation going on here. I'm being abused. Help me. You know, someone running out of the house. Here's what's happening. He's hitting me. She's hitting me. She has a gun. They have a gun. You can use that without that person.
More spontaneous.
Because it's
statement.
considered not, okay, that's, wow, good for you, Commissioner Ludwig, for remembering the rules of evidence. That's an exception to the hearsay rule, but that's very different from the confrontation clause assessment. So first we assess the hearsay rule. Does it apply? Doesn't it? And then we go to confrontation. But no, it's because the justices have said that's non-testimonial. So anything that you take in furtherance of the case for the purpose of furthering the case in trial, anything considered testimonial, it's out. Anything that's kind of an emergency, not being given just to prove the case, but to fix the emergency, that can come in. But it's a fine line. It's a fine line. And it's
That's going to change things a lot.
it changed things a lot. And it's been going on for a long time. I mean, I want to say what Crawford was probably at least 15, maybe 20 years ago. So, I mean, yeah, it's been a long time and we've been grappling with it for a long time. So because what happens is, and lawyers even, especially young lawyers, they get like you, they're like, oh, hearsay. They start thinking about the hearsay exceptions. It's an excited utterance, you know, and it's like, no, Crawford is very different from that. Also, the state can't use Crawford, right? They can't say, oh, that's a violation of our right to cross-examination because that's not a prosecutor's right. They have a due process right, but they don't have a right per se in the Bill of Rights. It's been interesting. It's made a huge difference in how we litigate cases. And finally, I'm going to say my least favorite decision from the United States Supreme Court was, you can think silently what you think it might be. Missouri versus McNeely. Oh, that's the case where the Supreme Court said, hey, if you're going to take a blood test from a DWI, you're going to say, oh, I believe you're under the influence. I want a blood test, or a urine test. then you need to get a search warrant.
Mhm.
And so, Elena Kagan, Justice Kagan wrote the opinion of that court, the court, and she was like, so everybody has a cell phone, everybody has a laptop, right? Like, how hard is it to just get a warrant from a judge? It's not that hard. Well, guess what? In Minnesota, that wasn't the case. We had no electronic search warrants. So when that jurisprudence finally worked its way out, and it took a little bit of time, it had to get back to the Minnesota Supreme Court and worked up a little bit its application in Minnesota. But when it became clear to us, we are going to be signing search warrants now for every time that someone's pulled over for DWI and they need a blood or urine test. And I'll tell you, it has increased the number of search warrants significantly. And the way we used to do it is the officers would call the judge at 3 a.m. We've got a search warrant, and then they come to your house with the paper, right? And it's like, I cannot have officers at my house.
I have been there lots of times.
You got, I know, right, but not since McNeely, Missouri versus McNeely. So I'm pretty proud of the fact that I was on the Judicial Council at the time, and I told the Chief Justice, Chief Justice Gilday, we got to do something like this when this is going to be terrible. I have to get dressed and now sometimes I signed, the most I've ever signed in one night was 4 warrants. Can you imagine 4 times? I'd just be sitting up all night waiting for the police to come to my house. So that really made a big change. Now, just so you know, breath is different. So if somebody gives a breath test, they do not need a warrant. But we have so many more cases now with folks who are under the influence of something that's not alcohol. So the way you test for that is blood or urine. So that has been a big change. And now we have e-search warrants. And it was all, the impetus of that was definitely Missouri versus McNeely. I found throughout my career that necessity is in fact the mother of invention, right? And a lot of change comes about just because something's happening and we've got to fix it, right? We've got to figure out a new way or a better way or a cheaper way or a different way of doing things. I told the governor in my retirement letter that the one thing that hasn't changed is the essence of the job, and that is being a neutral decision maker, considering the law and facts of each case and rendering a fair and impartial decision. And I think that has been the most rewarding part of my job. And I really have been honored to have the opportunity to serve as a judge in Pine County for 24 years. But now it's time to do something else. So I'm going to take just a moment, if you don't mind, as a point of personal privilege, to thank Dave Minke for his leadership and service. You have been an amazing county administrator, Mr. Minke. Just amazing. And I was really sad when I opened the newspaper and saw that you were leaving. I do wish you the best, of course, I definitely do, but I want you to know how much I've really enjoyed working with you. You are calm, you are considerate, you are forward thinking, and you know what? You're just a really nice guy. And I was thinking about the last trial that Mr. Fredrickson and I had when the transformer on the roof went out and we had no air on the 3rd floor. It was about a month ago, wasn't it, Reese? Yeah. And we were all sweating. I was sweating, the lawyers were sweating, the jurors were sweating, and complaining, the staff. It was just miserable, and I was really cranky. And I went down to Mr. Minke's office, super cranky, like really crabby, like loaded for bear, as my mother would say. And there he was standing there. I was expecting you with a smile on his face, calm, practical, problem solving. Judge, we've got a plan. And I just couldn't stay cranky. Also, I want you to know it was nice and cool in Mr. Minke's office. I don't know why, but anyway, he will be missed. And that is my last presentation to you before I retire. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'd just like to say thank you and congratulations
Oh,
on your
thank you,
retirement.
Commissioner.
And I've worked with you on the Law Library Board the whole 10+ years I've been here, and we've had some interesting conversations and it's always been enjoyable. So, and it's always funny because I'm the lone non-person that's went to law school on that board, so I'm just a dummy part slayer, so. They always have all these questions about, should we keep this law book? Should we keep this in a, and they're like, you guys always ask me, and I'm like, I have no clue. Like, what does that even mean? My experience with the law has been the law library, so, but you guys are always great to me and I appreciate it, so.
It's been a pleasure having you on the board.
Yeah, but.
I think my last meeting there is coming up too.
Yeah, and I got a doctor's appointment, so I won't make it.
Oh,
tonight.
okay.
I apologize,
That's
but.
all right.
I just
I'll
want,
fill in for you for that one. Just make me your second.
I just want to thank you
Oh,
for being so patient and all those times we woke you up in the middle of the night.
thanks.
And then I also want to say we'd get there pretty quick sometimes. Well, then we started doing recording. And then she'd say, I want this in front of me so I can sign that transcript. If I recorded this
Yeah.
and you listen to it that way.
Yeah.
So you just record it over the phone.
Yeah, you had to make a finding that there was an emergency reason why they couldn't make it to the house. So what we found out was that that sometimes that was actually harder because then someone had to produce a transcript and.
Oh, it was a lot of work.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
one,
there was
crazy.
that option. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Any, yeah,
I gotta say something too, Judge.
Commissioner.
But I appreciate all the work you've done here and your, sticking to the law part. It's hard because a lot of people say, what are you doing that for? Or why did you do that or whatever? I don't know. But,
You cannot do this job with a thin skin.
no, I can.
I always say, how do I make both people mad? I don't know how that happened. Only one person was gonna be mad.
But I was at a hearing one time when you were presiding on something that you said, not everything I do is bad. That was the adoption
Oh,
of my granddaughter. And she's now grown up.
Yeah.
Her own children. And that was, you treated that occasion with such respect.
oh. Thank you.
How many marriages do you think you've performed?
Actually, okay, so, my son was married tomorrow is his 3rd anniversary. So 3 years ago tomorrow, my son was married here in Pine County, on his dad's goat farm, much to the chagrin of his Bostonian in-laws. And, I counted at that time because I keep, record. And at that time, 3 years ago, I'd done 689 weddings.
Oh, my.
So I'm guessing it's over 700. Yeah, a lot of weddings. Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate your going back in history, talking about the old courthouse. And how we have transitioned from that. And I do remember being in a meeting with myself and Commissioner Carlson and Judge Quinn. I believe it was Judge Quinn. Was he the 10th district?
Yeah.
He was actually a downsized version of Jesse Ventura,
He was actually, Joe Quinn was a really big man too.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
very fit, but probably 6'3", I'm gonna
Yes.
say. Yeah, and he always wore a dark suit. It was very intimidating. Yeah.
So when he's saying we need to have these changes,
Yeah.
we really need these. And it's like, yeah, but these are expensive. It's like, do we remodel? Do we do nothing? Do we remodel? Do we go here? And we made the choice to come here.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Were you on the
Yes, and
county
it
board
was,
then?
it was, it was a lot of money. It was a big change.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at the prodding of I say prodding of the court, to do those sort of things, and you guys were the great beneficiaries of,
Yeah.
and we all are, when we look at this facility and how it's served.
And in
public
5
way.
years, we'll have it paid for.
I know, that's the great part.
I wouldn't say that Joe Quinn prodded you. I'm gonna say he extorted you. Because I'm gonna retire. I can say that. But here's what he said was, you either build a building that we can use, or guess what? We're gonna move every jury trial to Washington County.
Exactly.
You're gonna put jurors on a bus and you're gonna bus them there and it's gonna cost you a fortune. I remember him saying that. I will tell you, Commissioner Nelson, of course, that building that we were in was never built as a courthouse. It was built as I think the town hall, right?
Right.
And so, it was never intended to be a courthouse and it was a bad retrofit. I mean, it really was. I have pages of stories about the things that went on there that were just so awful and terrible and difficult and what what a really difficult place it was to work. But I think that, again, there too, necessity is the mother of invention, right? And so if you had not built this facility, when you did, if we had not moved in when we did, we would not be ready for the technology that was coming. We could never,
No.
ever. The last case I tried in the old building, I think Commissioner Ludwig was one of the witnesses. It was a criminal sexual conduct case, went on for 3 weeks. I don't know if you remember or not. You probably do, yeah. And it was, and there was a lot of photographs, and we would pass them around the jury, you know, and they would look, I mean, nasty pictures, just so you know. It was not good. It was not, and they would pass it around, pass it around, pass it around, pass it around. I mean, that case took 3 weeks. With our current technology, that case would have probably been a week and a half. But we just didn't have the technology that we have now, and we would have never been able to fit that building with the technology that we have. I remember another, I don't know if you were involved in this case, Commissioner Ludwig, but we tried a first-degree meth manufacturing case. And Tracy Purcell was the prosecutor from the Attorney General's office, and she is now a judge in Hennepin County. And she came in and she brought her own Elmo because she came to the courthouse, checked out the facility and was like, no, like, no, no, this can't happen. I cannot try a case in this place. And she actually brought her own technology with her and plugged it in. It was pretty remedial even back then, but yeah, really, I know it was a lot of money. I know it was a lot of heartache. I know that there was some fallout with the commissioners, but I will tell you that we could never have been where we are now had it not been for this move. So, yeah.
I have to thank you for those kind words.
Oh, I meant every word.
I think we have an enviable relationship between the county and the courts, and it's not me, right? It's the attorneys, probation, sheriff, IT, building maintenance, social services, Amy, right? It's a partnership that is rare in the state of Minnesota. So thank you very much. And I just want to reflect on not too distant history, just the ability to have those frank conversations. You remember the Student Government Day and how it did not go well one year, but you were very clear as to your expectations and you would commit to it. And I just want to thank you for that because I think that's indicative of the good relationship that we just had clear communication, always willing to be at the table, but have high standards. So thank you.
Well, that communication went 2 ways. We had a government or a bunch of kids come, I think from East Central one year, and it was really not a good experience. And it wasn't me, it was a different judge, but it was really stressful. And they were very disrespectful. And it was, and we just kind of said, we're not doing that again. And then, you know, Mr. Minke's like, you know, what's the, again, in his way with that smile, what's the problem? And so I said, I'll do it. But here are my expectations. And then I think that you also said to me, but you need to make it more entertaining, right? He's like, you guys are boring. That's why them kids are not doing what you want them to do. And I was like, okay. And I took your advice and we had a really fun day. We got a bunch of old robes together and gavels and we took pictures and we just tried not to be as preachy to them or teachy, but more just like, hey, this is the courtroom. We had them sit in different places around. I think that day I maybe either came right before you, Reese, or right after. I think I was maybe right after you, or I don't remember, but Reese was there. He always does a very.
You were after him, I believe.
Was I after? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe. He always does a very entertaining presentation. And so we were able to just kind of, I think, really feed right into that. And I think the kids had a really good time. So you have to have that feedback. I agree with you. You know what? I'm just going to say, do I have a few more minutes?
You're the judge.
I know. One time I went into Mr. Minke's office and I said, I need something. And he goes, whatever you want. And I go, well, I have no power here. And he handed me a pen. And he said, now you have all the power in the world. They're about to yank my pen away, Administrator Minke. On October 6th, they're going to take it. But I think we have, I'm just going to say I'm not casting any aspersions at any other county, but I do travel around. I actually spent quite a bit of time in Anoka recently when they were short judges last fall. Used to be in Isanti all the time. I'm still in Isanti doing cases. I just really feel like that this county is really special. It just really is. When I go down to the recorder's office, just that interaction I have with those people down there where I drop off a marriage license and I listen to them talking to the public. I don't know if you ever get a chance to hear them talk to the public. They are kind, they are polite, they are respectful. I came out into court administration. I mean, I'm out there a lot, but I was standing there waiting for a clerk. I had a question and I heard her on the phone with someone who she had the phone out like this. And just trying to get the information. What is it you need? How can we help you? Please don't yell at me. You know, building maintenance. I had my official photo taken and we needed a ladder for the photographer and here they come, you know, with a ladder. When the transformer went out, they hooked up this Jimmy rigged operation with like a portable air conditioning unit and they're wonderful, wonderful people. I called them one time, it's like 82 degrees in here. They're like, well, we don't think so, but we'll come up. Yeah, I guess it is 82 degrees in here. Okay, we better fix that for you. I mean, I don't know, you just have, this county has a great county board. I mean, I think you guys are so respectful to each other. Commissioner Nelson, you know that wasn't always the way that it worked, right? You guys are very, very respectful to each other. And even when you disagree, this guy's going to be a loss. I'm not going to lie, but the county attorney's office, the probation department, oh my gosh, we have a wonderful and remember when we had to work on trying to disentangle the judges from that, and that wasn't easy, but despite us not being as involved as we used to be, that office runs beautifully. They're wonderful agents. They're very dedicated. Judge Wynn, with Devin Peterson and all the stuff and Sydney Silko from your office, all the things they've been able to accomplish and truancy court, and really, we have a great county. So even when we feel kind of down in the dumps sometimes or things don't work well, we're really lucky to not only live here, but also to work in this county. And I think a lot of that's owing to you guys and your importance you place on the employees and staff. So keep doing that. But anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
A pleasure.
Thank you.
I would just share too that like we still get calls with my answer for court administration too, that there's still people that say are like love jurors that say that they appeared in front of Judge Martin, they've gotten sober, their life is in line. So, and I think we'll continue to get those calls. So. Several of them. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I feel a little cheery. Most days going into the budget before lunch or?
I presume we'll take a break.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, we'll go into commissioner updates, Highway 23 Coalition.
I didn't go to that.
All right. Central Minnesota,
That did not meet.
okay. Lakes and Pines,
Lakes and Pines did meet. And it was mostly, you know, we get all these grant contracts that we approved. But the underlying theme is places like Lakes and Pines are in this tough spot of not knowing if those grants everything they do is grant driven. And that's a lot of federal money that comes down, some of it through the state, some direct appropriations, but is that money going to be there? And it affects a lot of people in Pine County, because they provide some of the things that the Central Minnesota Council on Aging gets the money from the Old Age American Act. And so chore giving, you know, it's not huge amounts of people. Like some of those programs affect 275 people in Pine County. But it's a big deal to those 275 people. Fuel assistance is probably the biggest thing that, you know, is always an unknown. Or it's really an unknown this year. And what are those people going to do if their Social Security money runs out and they can't buy propane or whatever. I don't know. Anyway. Stay tuned for that.
Okay. Technology committee was canceled. Mediation, we did meet, got nowhere. We are going to arbitration. I don't know, you got anything else to add?
We'll probably end up in arbitration.
And we will, and Mr. Chair, this is a grievance arbitration flowing out of an interest mediation. So we settled the contract in January. Union has contentions that we agreed to things that were not included in the written agreement, and we disagree on what those were. So we met in mediation on that, and are now going to arbitration. And so it's really a grievance that's masquerading as an interest.
Housing Redevelopment Authority, Economic Development Authority.
Yeah, I went to that meeting. Things are pretty normal with the buildings and things like that, but I just want to make a couple comments on the fund balance for the investment fund is $455,198. Then the county's economic development fund balance is $106,292. And then our local housing trust fund balance that we shifted over there for the housing is $220,238. So they're doing okay. And then the other big item is Leslie is now going to be the director for the HRA. She was appointed by the board when Dave has been acting as the director and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Central Minnesota Council on Aging.
Yes, we did meet and probably, had some good presentations from the people that are program providers, but the thing that affects people in Pine County, probably the most visible are congregate dining and home delivered meals. And there's going to be a struggle with that because it costs more today to provide a meal than it did 2 years ago. And the money is actually probably going to be less. So there's going to be, there's the only solution is some people aren't going to, they're going to have to close some congregate sites in central Minnesota. Home delivered meals probably will take over that. But some of the congregate dining sites, people go there because they need conversation. They need to not be isolated. So it'll be a change. We'll get through it. We've been through it before, I guess. So, that's about it.
Okay. Arrowhead Economic Opportunity Agency. Arrowhead Transit.
That was at exactly the same. Central Minnesota Council on Aging.
Okay, Pokegama Lake Association Clean Water Project. Yeah, they had kind of a launch for their nanobubble project they had on Pokegama Lake. They had like a media launch on it and they asked me to come and speak. So I did come. It was a very, they had a lot of people there. It was a good deal. A lot of technical stuff. I just kind of spoke on the county, where our position was on it. And one of the things that I just kind of highlighted was, how impressed I was how the Lake Association had an issue, they addressed the issue, and, they just wanted me to kind of come and highlight their success. They didn't come to us, they didn't ask for money, they didn't beg us to fix their problem, they didn't nothing. They just wanted me to kind of help champion their deal, and that's what I did. So I appreciate that,
How long is that thing gonna run there?
Till they have a contract through September.
So it's just, is it a test thing? That's what it was?
Yeah, but this is kind of a test one. It's in their North Bay, which we went out on pontoons after the deal. It is the nicest part of the lake right now. And that North Bay, literally you could walk across. Other years, it was, the algae bloom was like nasty, it would stink. It was just a crusty, awful part of the bay.
So it's making a difference.
It's a huge difference. And
Really?
what's very interesting, some of they're testing it a lot. They're running like sonar. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they got mapping of the bottom. They're
Etchy disc, they do a disc for
well,
visibility.
they're doing that, but there's a company that's running, I think it's sonar.
Oh, for the depth of the muck.
Yeah, so they can feel the hardness of it. And it's actually that channel that goes up Pokegama Creek, on the other side where the
Yeah.
boats and stuff are. It's actually going upstream. And the guy from Moliere said that the nanobubbles are positively charged, because the guy's like, how does it go upstream? It can't go up the current. And he goes, yeah, it can. He goes, that's what you don't understand. In other places, it'll force its way upstream. So, the project they're looking at on the entire lake, they're thinking maybe 2 units. Obviously, they won't be the size of the one they have there. This one's a trailer. They sized it specifically for this area, but it's going out in the lake. We took a pontoon out. And it isn't, you know, it isn't great, it isn't clear, but it's nice. But then once you got out in the lake, it was like, oh yeah, there is a big difference and it started to smell when you got out in the lake. It didn't smell in that North Bay. But it was very interesting. So that Kathy, I can't think of her name again, Kathy Nielsen, from Pokegama Lake, she was on, I think there's 3 TV stations, Channel 5, Channel 9, and there was like Northland News or something like that. She did interviews on, so they're getting a lot of publicity on it. This initial one was $100,000 for the summer. It is something that they have to do. It ain't a one and done thing. But they can scale it up, scale it down. So if they get ahead of it, they can turn the pumps down. But they're just pumping oxygen. They have their own formula of like these nanobubbles as their own technology. It isn't just oxygen, but it's very interesting how they're doing it. So, but they're trying to figure out funding sources. I think if you read in the paper, they're looking at a few things. I think they've been talking to Kelly about some stuff, and I don't know, there's some opposition, some not opposition, but I think the lakeshore owners really have to take a step back and look if they really want to try to clean up the lake or not. So, and everybody knows it costs money. So, we'll see what happens. All in all, I think it was a good thing. So. All right, zoning board.
No meeting, no permits or nothing happened.
Okay. Snake River Watershed Plan Partnership. Yeah, we had a meeting. Mostly the biggest thing we did is we did add a public forum comment period to it. With our bylaws, we did vote to add it. We have to have a 30-day period in there, just to allow some, I think it was public comment, allow public comment to get in there. But we are gonna put a couple public comment period on there. We don't really ever get real public comment, but we had one. And we kind of put it in the agenda. It got real kind of bogged down the whole meeting. So we're just gonna put a public comment period in there. It's actually modeled exactly off of our public comment on our agenda. Otherwise there was a few projects. One of the things Pine County's working on, Pine County's doing a lot in the Snake River watershed. So they got a couple, more, funding for doing a few more or some more work. One of the things was in Pokegama Lake. They sent out some, mailers there. They got a lot of feedback. So they requested some more funding to address it because they said it was almost overwhelming. And they just didn't have the staff time, and soil and water. Sorry, I didn't say soil and water. So soil and waters, requested some $20,000 to address, going back and trying to get some of this work done. So, or initiate some of the work. So, yeah, that was about it. Lower St. Croix watershed.
Yeah, we
Partnership.
had a meeting and, other than projects, the topic of discussion was, we are a collaborative unit and we have agreed to revisit that subject every year. Because I think we should be an entity. It just makes operation go better. A lady from Browns Creek is very adamant that we should be an entity, but everybody else seems to they have their reasons for not being one. So it didn't look like we were gonna change, so I did not second the motion to switch to an entity because it was not gonna go anyplace, but we're gonna bring it up again next summer and talk about it because people change and people's minds change, but you know, to bring that plan back here for a plan modification like we did last month, just doesn't seem to make sense to me if you got people that like our board is really good about reporting on what's going on. And I think that's apparently doesn't happen at every board level, so and it's working. We've got good staff that does the work, so we're getting by.
All right, GMPT's annual summer meeting.
I went to that. It was pretty interesting.
What is GMPT?
Greater Minnesota Parks and Trails.
Right.
And I'm hoping somebody will jump on that and say, this is because we have some trails.
Mhm.
And we're gonna work on this one with Canadian County and you know, there's some good information about what they're doing, and I Zoom called into it because I couldn't get a ride to southern Minnesota to the place they were at, but it would have been okay to see. Anyway, they're a good group of people.
Okay. NLX.
No.
Yeah.
All right. St. Croix River Workshop on the Water.
No, I went to the Pine County Fair instead.
Okay. ICWA MIFPA training.
And no commissioners attended that.
Okay. Did anybody go to any other meetings? Is there anything other to come before the board? Otherwise, look at your upcoming meetings.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if anyone is planning to go to the school Pine Tech County meeting
Yeah.
tomorrow, let me know so I can think I'm gonna try.
Okay. That's at Pine Tech.
That's at Pine Tech,
It's at
right?
Pine Tech,
Yep.
same room as usual, 70-71.
Yep.
But you have to enter through the main door because of some construction.
Oh,
Which is,
they're doing.
which is where?
Main doors.
There'll be signage.
The west side.
The west side.
Yeah,
Right.
and if you can get in the main door, there'll be signage.
Okay, northwest.
Got it.
And Joe said that the food would be available about 5:30 if you wanna come early for the meal.
I do have, yeah, I'll have to let you know for sure. Okay, I think we're gonna take a quick break, grab lunch and be back at 1. Sound good, fair? And then Terry's on the hot seat. Okay, all right.